And we have a free recruitment service on our website. So if you are looking for a job, please check it out. Or if you're hiring, just talk to us and we can post the job ad for you. And we have our annual conference. It's called Cultural Leadership Summit in this year, September 26 and 27. We'll invite really famous arts managers from the performing arts and visual arts sector. And because our topic will be about audience development, we're talking about something really exciting in the arts sector, such as how to use technology to include in our artwork. For example, National Gallery Singapore is doing something really exciting with the technology, and basically I'm talking with the AI system now, so you'll know more about it if you come. So as you can see, this is a really nice venue here at Uptown. It's a new co-working space, and they're really welcome for all the art sector to work with them. So I'll hand over to the co-founder and CEO here, Mr. Thomas Deng. Please give a big round of applause.
Thank you, Teresa. Distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to join you all today at this Art Talk event, which are organized by the Art Administrators Association. This event provides an excellent opportunity for artists to learn how to position and promote their artworks. I would like to share a little about Uptown. We are a co-working space focused on supporting startups in the fashion and technology field. We have a team of professional advisors give support to young entrepreneurs. For example, we have legal advisor, manufacturing expert, 3D printing expert. Moreover, we are creating a community to enhance the interaction of startups and professionals and to help young people to start their own business. If you are interested in Uptown, please contact me or my team after the event. Once again, welcome all and enjoy the event. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Julie Yin. She's the Artnext Expo Director. She's an expert in jade, Chinese ink painting, and contemporary Japanese art. And she also curated a major exhibition in past Beijing Museum. And she writes extensively in columns about art and business. So let's give the stage to Julie.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Judy and welcome to this session. Pricing art is never easy because it's not a retail product but your own creation, so it's something very close to your heart. We are Artnext is a fair for emerging artists and collectors to connect directly. So for young artists who may have lesser experience in the commercial market, it's even more difficult. At our art fair, some participant artists asked us for advice as to how they should price their works. And similarly, collectors will also ask us why and based on what references our artists actually price their works that way. I think there is no one winning formula, and it certainly takes more than just gut feel to come up with a price for your works. Does size matter? Who should I benchmark my work with? Who are the collectors? How should I put a dollar sign to the time I spent on my work? Or maybe, should I aim for a higher transaction price than, transaction records? So these are questions that really need some good answers, especially when you are, as an artist, going into the commercial market. There are, of course, experts in the market that can help you, like gallery owner, intermediaries, and also art fair. But I think it's equally important for you to form a broad picture of what the market is like. Who are you targeting? Where are you going to exhibit your works before you come up with your own pricing strategy? And as I just said, displaying your works is also of utmost importance. At Artnext Expo, for example, the participating artists from all over the world will be manning their own booths. So you are competing for collectors' time and attention and pocket with other outstanding artists. So how were you able to make your work outstanding? I think the way to display your artwork is critical, and also the price point. So I hope this is going to be an interactive and fun session. After Henrietta's speech, we're open to the floor, and hopefully if you have any questions, Henrietta and I will try our best to answer. Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Henrietta, founder of and honorary chair of Hong Kong Arts Gallery Association, founder and CEO of Gallery Ola Lola, and she has a very diverse background. Before her career in art, she has over 10 years working in the banking industry, and she's completing her PhD in art critic and theory in Shanghai University. With her unique background in art and business, she's an expert in art market, art investment, and art financing. So let's welcome Henrietta.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm very pleased to be able to speak to all of you. I have never spoken on a Saturday afternoon for 2 hours, so I hope that this is an interactive session. I will try my best to answer all your questions and to make it fun and interactive. But before I start, I want to show you a short video which lasts for 4 minutes, and then we can start our discussion together.
In September of 2008, Song wrote a report of Taiwan in the art world. In September.
Maybe in the meantime, may I get some statistics from you? How many of you here are artists? Can you please put your hand? Okay. Okay. How many of you work in a gallery or commercial, area of art? Not many. Okay. So how many of you have priced art before? Great, great. So there are quite a good number of you. Okay. Let's see the video first.
In 2008, something unheard of happened in the art world. A British artist, Damien Hirst, took 223 pieces of his new work to Sotheby's auction house and sold every single piece.
I'll start the bidding here at £2,500,000 for £2,500,000.
It was a 2-day event and the total sale was about $200 million. It broke the record for a single artist auction of $20 million back in 1993. Hirst's work included things like this zebra, this unicorn, and this painting made from butterflies. So how do artists do this? Well, for the most part, the artists aren't the ones behind it. Okay, so obviously money isn't the only value that defines a work of art, and who knows how history will remember this unicorn. But in order to sell $1 million artwork, you need strong market value, and you need extremely high demand. And a ton of work goes into creating that. As Don Thompson describes in his book, the formula for art pricing goes something like this. The bigger the work, generally the more expensive it is. But the biggest variable is the reputation of the artist. Sometimes you're world famous and sometimes you're not.
What?
But when a new artist steps into the art market, the reputation of the artist heavily relies on the name of the dealer. The Shark by Damien Hirst is Hearst first began working with an art industry giant, Charles Saatchi, in the 1990s. Saatchi commissioned Hearst to make anything he wanted for £50,000 after seeing this cow's head at a show shortly after Hearst's graduation in 1990. Hearst bought a shark for £6,000 from an Australian fisherman and created this, injecting it with tons of formaldehyde. Later in 2004, it was sold for $12 million to a billionaire hedge fund manager, Steve Cohen. It was roughly 130 times the original price, but it makes sense considering Saatchi's reputation. And it makes more sense when you think about how it was bought. Dealers can use selective information to get potential buyers to pay more. Hearst's huge auction that I mentioned before. For dealer-sold work, everything is private, including the prices, which gives dealers the upper hand in pricing. In 1988, New York City tried to ban this by reinforcing the truth in pricing law, and galleries fought back hard, paying fines and protesting, saying that showing prices will be, quote, getting in the way of enjoyment of the exhibition. By keeping the price private, art dealers can rely more on their reputation to make artwork feel more valuable to the buyer. Outside of this equation, the basic laws of economics also apply. The next step of operation for the dealer is creating scarcity. In 1999, when Jenny Saville, a new emerging British artist, became affiliated with Charles Saatchi, he convinced her to cut her work down to only 6 paintings per year. He sold them for $100,000 each. So what does this all result to? According to ArtNet, the estimated size of the art market was $64 billion in 2015. And the market is growing outside of traditional sales of galleries and auction houses. This chart shows the art world might be learning the lesson Saatchi taught Jenny Saville. The total value of the art that's being sold is growing faster than the number of pieces. Sell less of it for more. But to sell that $1 million artwork, you'll need reputation bigger than Hearst's or Charles Saatchi's. The dealer model still dominates the fine art world, but for the rest of us, selling art online has never been easier. The prices are open and it's accessible for a broad group of people. And for one thing, now you know where to start. Think big.
Okay, so we can go home now. Like 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, you're done. We're done with the class today, kind of class. I think this video sums up a pretty good summary. If you don't have time, just go to YouTube and find it again and again and again. And I think you would probably have a pretty good start on the pricing. But for me, because I'm invited to come here and spend some time with you, I would like this to be quite interactive. And it's going to be a little bit lengthy. I'm going to be putting graphs and throwing numbers because after all, this is about market. So I don't need you to wait until the end to ask me anything. If you actually have a question in your head, please just put up your hand and let me know, and maybe we can start a discussion from there. So, okay, I love graphics, so these are some things that we can start on. Like, I want to show you this picture there, and the two gentlemen there were looking at a piece of art which is a dollar sign, and this guy, one of the guys said, I only buy art that I can understand. Okay, and here, I did buy the cartoon from them, so I just show them. So they are gallerists, and they said, we jacked up the price an extra 5,000 since one resembles an up profit chart. So again, it's a theme of the familiarity. So that's one concept that we can kind of think of. Here's another one. Somebody is talking about this guy behind his back. He knows all about art, but he doesn't know what he likes. Very often we go to museums and we will walk around and we go to biennales, we critique things, but at the end of the day, when you are asked to take out money from your pocket and buy something, is actually argumentatively is a completely different question. So today, I'm not really going to go into display of art too much, but because the topic that I'm going to talk much more about pricing, but at the end, maybe we can just kind of swirl through about display, because I think Mr. Tang and a lot of experts here may have a better idea of how to display art. I want to start a small economic class here. How many of you have studied economics here? Okay, so that's great. So bear with me if you have studied economics. This is economics lesson 1. And for those who haven't, also bear with me and let me just go through it, just one concept. I just want to go through the law of demand and supply. As you can see in the video, I found that video after I finished completed this presentation, but it is very true. Art and fruit and other products, ultimately, it goes with the concept of demand and supply. Let me go through the law of demand first, and I'll show you something. Law of demand states that a higher price leads to a lower quantity demanded, and a lower price leads to a higher quantity demanded. Very, very common sense, right? When something is more expensive, maybe fewer people want it. And when something is 性價比嚟講嘅，when something is lesser in value, then maybe we want more. So this is a very common theme that we can think of. But there is another law that goes together with the law of demand, is the law of supply. So the law of supply states that a higher price leads to a higher quantity supplied, and that a lower price leads to a lower quantity supplied. Naturally, when Picasso understood that his work was going over the top, once I read he was talking to his workers and his apprentice in his studio. Actually, at the moment, I can do whatever I want, I can print whatever I want, and somebody will buy it, because for him, there was all the motivation to make more art because prices were going up. When nobody was paying for his work, then he would not produce anymore. So even Calvin and Hobbes understand that. Look at here. So this little guy here, oh, you want a lemonade? So 15 bucks a glass. Why is that so? How do you justify charging 15 bucks a glass? That's purely because of supply and demand. On a hot summer day, in a fair, in a playground, of course you can charge a lot more. But in a cold winter night, would you want a cup of lemonade? So please, the first thing that I want to highlight is the natural law of supply and demand. A little bit more, okay? So for art, when supply of similar artwork increases, the price would go down. When the supply of similar artwork, so when Zhang Shaogong's Bloodline series were very famous, but then there were only a set number of pieces, the prices will go up because he couldn't keep going on and on because people knew when he started painting them. However, when he created more lithograph and printing and we were talking about something like computer printout, then the prices of those computer printout would be lower. And it's this graph here. So price is this side and quantity is this side. Basically, we can kind of somehow put everything that we buy and sell in this kind of graph. But there could be a lot of different versions. I just want to highlight something so that everything I talk about here is out of my experience. And if you have a question later on, Henrietta, how do you price your art? This is exactly what I do from a macro sense all the way to you, if you are my artist. Okay? So first of all, let's look at the demand. This is the demand curve. Just look at D, that's the demand, and that's the supply. When the supply curve and the demand curves meet, this is the equilibrium. This is a perfect price where the quantity and the price meet. So if you can price your art here all the time, then you're doing the right thing. However, if you're pricing your price here, and then the supply, the demand is, you're pricing it right here, and the supply is not enough, then people will be willing to pay more for it. But here, otherwise, if you price here, and you suddenly increase your artwork a lot, say I have 50 pieces of similar artwork, I decided I have a summer, I have a lot of time, and I just want to paint more. then I systematically painted 50 more and dump it in onto the market, naturally your price will go down. When the demand of the artwork increases though, the prices will go up. So let's look at here. Before Picasso dies, maybe his work was here, the perfect price was here. But after he passed away, and I guess a lot more marketing and a lot of people promoted him more, and there were a lot of museum shows, a lot of different things, added value to his existing art, then perhaps the demand of his work systematically shift, and then the prices will go to here. That's just an example. You look really bored, so okay, let's move on. Still have to be stubborn about those graphs. So, you can nowadays it's so easy to Google. I think every one of us here who is interested in pricing should really study the law of demand and supply at your own pace. Even artists, you do need to know about economics. Here, I want to talk about a further theme about how this curve looks like. There is inelastic and elastic. Inelastic meaning it looks straighter like this, and like this one. Elastic is flatter. So I would assume that a fresh graduate like Charlie Brown, who wanted to be an artist, would have very elastic demand, meaning do you think a lot of people will be waiting to buy his work? So maybe if he priced it incorrectly, nobody actually would buy it. If he doesn't price his work according to here, maybe nobody actually touch his work. But even if he does price it correctly here, at a grad show, for example, £500 grad show, it's like a common knowledge for us to understand it in England. Most graduate shows, people, collectors are willing to pay 400 to 800 pounds for a piece of work. So perhaps Charlie Brown pricing right here, and somebody bought it, and then he sold one, he sold two, maybe he sold the whole collection there at 400 pounds. So Charlie Brown felt really good about it, and let me look at my studio. I have 5 more paintings tomorrow. Let me jack up the price to 600 pounds, and maybe I can sell more. However, according to the law of demand and supply, because Charlie Brown's demand is elastic, that means people really don't care. If you price it like $1 higher, people may not buy it. So if he price it up like that, then maybe people don't want to buy it. Whereas for Picasso, his supply, because it's modern art supply, we talk about supply now. His supply would be relatively inelastic because it's dead, so there's probably set number of art, but it's not perfectly inelastic. It's still elastic, but just quite inelastic. It's because it depends on how many the collector would allow their work to be sold in the market. So his work would be quite inelastic, and if he had a retro show, he had amazing promotion, if all these amazing people in the art world added value to his work, then perhaps there is a systematic shift in demand, the whole curve shift, and there immediately his price would jack up to P2. That's it, we're done with economics. Okay, any question?
I'm just wondering, the law of supply and demand, is it because art is not a necessity? I mean, the supply and demand all works really well. It is just like a commodity, a thing, necessity, like rice or sugar, etc. But then, how does that, in art work or in art market or art work function like or luxurious goods that people it's like something that I would love to have, but I don't have to have it to live. How does that supply and demand work in this case?
Okay. So thank you for your comment. Your comment is an individual comment, and perhaps an individual would think that art is not a necessity. It is a luxury item, and so for you, the demand for art is elastic. Okay, it doesn't matter. I mean, if the price doesn't work, I won't buy. However, I'll show you in a bit, for the larger art market, it is absolutely an industry. Art is an industry that's worth more than 6.4 billion annually. So I would argue that Picasso's work in the market would not be a commodity per se, or it is kind of like a trading commodity. So maybe, because I'm not an economist, but that's how I would see it. Individual may look at the demand and supply differently from a macroeconomics point of view. In macroeconomics, our industry is an annual $6.3 to $6.4 billion US dollar worth of market. Is definitely not something arbitrary. Maybe I'll leave it like that for now. Okay, so we have time, so I'll take my time to go through this. So after the law of supply and demand, even though if I'm a young artist, a student, we still have to understand, as I said, that the market is not as small as you think. It is a 100-year market. It is a lot of money. There's a lot of market that's in there. I just want to show you some numbers here. Auction market turnover. Interestingly, China has become very stably the second largest auction market in the world. The blue line is the total auction figure in 2015, and the red lines show you the total number of turnover in auction size in 2016. So this shows you like the size of the US market per se. It's 6.3. Chinese market, this particular info I got from ArtPrice, and Emma is from China. I don't need you to really memorize these numbers because I'm part of the Chinese Art Industry Institute of Shanghai University, and I know as a fact that all the numbers in China are actually underestimated. The actual number in China is huge because the number that you see here, and the only number that we can see to discuss together would be the auction numbers, but nobody can really gauge the private market number, right? If there are only 4 auctions a year or 2 major seasons per year, then you can imagine the private dealing market would be folds bigger than what you see here. So if I can argue with you that I just want to show you the art market is not as small as what perhaps an individual thinks, or what, especially for artists or students, that you don't know how to start. But look at how big and how far you can get, and just bear with me. This is about prices. It's just an index to show you how the prices has gone. It's a macro sense of prices in general, like really, really average and really, really blurred on all the arts in the world. But is this important to me if I'm new to the market? Well, everybody is kind of decreasing the price back here. The price was dropping like this in 2015. The whole world, this is the average of the world. And I was in Fortan, I visited some artists. I thought, oh, you're very high potential. I love your thinking. What do you think? How can I bring some of your art, help you market it? Maybe some of them, sure. Let's talk about the pricing. What should we start at? And then maybe the artist would say, let's start this work at like 18,000, 18,000 Hong Kong dollars, or 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, or 25,000 Hong Kong dollars. Why do you want to start like this? Oh, because everybody I see, or when I go to affordable art fair, the cheapest work would be around this price. Okay, so all right, good for you. But when we're talking about price, we can't really just think of, whatever you think. But I'm just trying to share my experience as to how I would price, because I work with auction houses. I would discuss with them. Sometimes they will call me on some of the estimates. We can talk about it and everything. I just want to really get this idea through to you that pricing is actually transparent. It is supposedly not a subjective way. There should be really objective way that we can come up with a price. So it is always good to look at the market trend. At the moment, we are steadily going up, kind of like fell a bit, but definitely 2017 is not the best year in the world. Well, 2014, 15, I started my gallery here, 2005. So yes, I enjoyed up and down, up and down, up and down. So if you're not careful, say when the market is going up and you price it right here, you lose out. When the market is down, you price it right up here, you don't sell. And when the market is going down and you keep adding onto your price, that doesn't work either. Right? So please look at global trend when you your own work. These are also taken from a report. I just want to show you. We don't have to go through them all, but there are actually reports that talk about art. I didn't come up with these brilliant ideas, but I just copied it out to show you how the art world looks at art. There are a lot of things written about return on investment. Say, for example, Richard Smith, I'll just read one or two as an example. Richard Smith's Another Place, 1959, sold by Christie's in London in March 2006 for $2,700, and acquired in November 2016 for $44,000 at Sotheby's, a gain of 1,500 degrees in 10 years, driven